All right, so thanks for the invitation to come and speak today. So I did want to give a little bit of background about myself. I am the executive officer of ASPET, the American Society for Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. So I'm the scientist here on today's engineering panel. So I have a PhD in neuropharmacology, and after I did that, I did a postdoc in academia, and then I took the alternative career route, and I spent about 18 years in industry. I worked at what was then a little bitty biotech called Regeneron, which you may now recognize as a not so little bitty biotech, Pfizer at Bristol Myers Squibb, and then I moved over into the nonprofit sector. And I initially worked at the foundation for the National Institutes of Health, otherwise known as FNIH. And there I worked on scientific projects that were funded by large public-private partnerships, so very collaborative efforts. And then I moved on to ASPET. So a little bit about ASPET as well. It was founded in 1908. It is about a 5,000 member organization in 68 countries, and it's made up of people who are doing basic or clinical research that is pharmacology based. I do want to stress that pharmacology and pharmacy are distinct sciences. They're often confused. So we are the people who are doing research on the effects of drugs on various biological systems. So the effects of drugs on your body or your dog's body, let's say, for example. We have members from academics, from government, industry, other nonprofits as well. So we have a pretty diverse membership. So when I was asked to present today, I started thinking about some of the challenges that we as association folks face in the change is coming realm. Change is coming. Change has been coming for a while, and what it means for us. And really, if you think back. The idea of what associations could or should provide to their members has been evolving a lot over the years, and that's some of the things I want to talk about today. So I could come up with probably a list of 100 things, and I could spend an hour on any one of those things, and I've only got about 10 minutes, so I'm going to sort of breeze through 3 or 4 ideas here, and hopefully some of these will resonate with you, and you may be sitting there thinking, you didn't talk about X, and those can come up during our discussion. So first, let's talk about changing membership. So if you were to go back in time and look at ASPET, let's say 30, 50 years ago, you would have found a very homogeneous membership population. We would have been mostly men, mostly in the United States, and they would have probably all been academics in tenure track positions. And the idea that anybody they were training would have been doing anything different would have been a bit unusual. All right. And over time, they opened their membership doors. Industry members were allowed in, and then postdocs and graduate students and undergraduates. And although we don't have high school members, I think most of us in science appreciate that the decision to have science as your career choice happens before you become an undergraduate. So our outreach programs have to be targeted towards high school students. So now we're facing meeting the needs of diverse membership from students, high school students, all the way to our ever-growing group of emeritus members, okay? All those people have different needs and expectations. Our membership has also become increasingly international. So again, it's a very diverse group of people, different ideas about what the society should and could do for them. And how do we as a society even know what they want from us? This is a real challenge, and we could do our annual survey and try to get information. One of the ways ASPET tried to solve this a couple years ago is instead of our council sitting in a room and saying, I think this is what they want, we decided to reach out to our membership, and we did something called the Big Ideas program. And the focus of this program was that our members were going to submit proposals for pilot programs for the organization. There was a very specific set of criteria. They could ask for any amount of money up to, I think it was maybe about $1 million was the top. They had to put together a proposal, and the idea behind these projects is they weren't just member proposed, they were going to be member driven. So the members had to be prepared to participate in these pilot programs as well. The goal was that these programs would run for a couple of years as pilot programs, and then maybe there would be a decision for some of these to become permanent long-term programs. And it was also a way of really getting our members engaged in the society and letting them know that we were listening to them. So we ran that for a couple years. We ended up picking up 4 programs, which are in various stages right now, running from, I think our most advanced is going into its 3rd year, and the earliest is just starting some summer internships in industry this summer. So we're still in that data gathering stage. But I just wanted to share that that's one way we approach it. I'm sure if we all got together and talked, we'd be coming up with a number of different ideas about how different societies approached this issue. So let me go back one more. Pharmacology is what we call a traditional basic science. So pharmacology, physiology, anatomy, biochemistry, and microbiology, those are sort of the top 5 in that category. And over time, there's been a change in the way that these disciplines are taught, and also the way departments are structured in universities, medical schools, even dental schools. And this has ripple changes throughout our membership, throughout education. So it impacts education, it impacts research, it impacts jobs, and it impacts our society. Ultimately, we're asking, what is the impact, what is the relevance of pharmacology as an individual discipline, and how do we move forward with that? So increasingly, we as societies are being asked to help be proponents of our discipline. Can we go out there and speak about the impact of pharmacology and how important it is to help retain pharmacology departments and retain it as a critical discipline within educational curricula. One of the other pieces of feedback we get from our members is that these departments are being reshuffled, is that our members and their students don't feel that the departments are meeting the career development needs that they would like to see. So they're increasingly reaching out to our society and other societies to help them with a variety of different training classes, everything from, we want mentoring, we want communications classes, we want career development classes, etc. So how to write a grant, how to review a manuscript, and everything in between. So the increasing request to societies to fill needs seems to be ever growing. So I mentioned jobs. So let's talk about the workforce and where our students are going to be ending up in the future. So I mentioned before that it used to be that the carrot at the end of the stick was that academic tenure track job, not so much anymore for our students. So this is a graphic put out by the American Society of Cell Biology. I think it came out maybe in 2014. It's available online. If you just Google it, you can find it. There's a lot of information in this slide. I'm not going to go through all the details. But the big thing I want to point out is we have a large number of students currently in our biology PhD programs. Every year we have students coming in from the US and students coming in from foreign countries, adding to that number. They then move forward on what you would consider the typical career path. In many cases, they're doing postdoc and a second postdoc, and maybe even a third postdoc. Okay, there's that's that circular section in the middle. Some of them are dropping out, and then they're spreading out at the end into what is now a variety of different careers. Okay, so they're not just going out into one major career option, which would be academia. Now they're filtering out into a variety of different prospects. There is industry, there is government, there's nonprofit, there's non-science jobs. Maybe you want to do science policy, maybe you want to do a patent lawyer. A variety of different options. So if your society was like my society, where the majority of our training efforts were geared towards that academic tenure track job, and how to write a grant, and how to be successful in academia, you have to rethink what you're doing. Our members and our students want to be told of all their career options, and they want to be mentored by the relevant people. Okay, if they want to go into industry, they want to have conversations and they want to be networking with our industry partners. So we have to make sure that we're effectively reaching out to our membership and tapping into those people. And I mentioned the change in the departmental organization. Well, increasingly we're finding more late-stage career people who are being impacted by those changes are reaching out to us for career opportunities and assistance as well. So that represents an additional need on our societies. So finally, let's talk about advocacy. ACCESSE has had a science policy committee for many, many years, and we probably spent most of our time fighting for NIH funding. And maybe the niche bill that went through the legislation that was particularly relevant for our members. But that feels a little different, particularly maybe in the last 6 months or year. So it feels a little bit more urgent. And we find ourselves out there advocating for science, the relevance of science, the importance of science in general in our community. And it's taken on a much more global perspective. So we're out there marching for science, and we're out there marching for science with our friends, our colleagues, our industry, government, nonprofit, maybe some patient advocacy groups, and maybe your mom was out there marching for science as well. You know, we're all out there. And it's not just one society putting a letter in the New York Times and signing it and saying this is important. It's 300 societies getting together and signing that letter. So our voice is stronger when we are working together. So our collaborations, our partnerships have never been more important than they are now. We also find ourselves taking a stand on policy decisions that impact our scientists directly. So the travel ban is one example of that. Suddenly we're worried about whether our students can get into the country and attend their universities, or whether our scientists can cross borders and exchange information or attend our annual conferences. So these are serious issues that we're dealing with. So I would say our science policy and advocacy efforts ramped up considerably in the last 6 months or so. And finally, our members are finding that they themselves have to defend their science more often. Okay? And they want to know how to be good communicators about their science, and they want to be effective science advocates. So they're looking to our organization to provide communication courses, to provide maybe an advocacy toolkit on the web, and then to have Hill Days or science policy fellows where we're taking people to the Hill and helping them connect with their legislators and having conversations with them. So again, the increasing activity that associations are expected to have. So what does this all mean for us? Well, change is coming. It's been coming for a while, and we have to be increasingly adept at dealing with our very diverse membership, their very diverse expectations and ideas about what a membership society should give to them. And you know, if you flew a plane here, you probably heard them say, we know that you have choices, and thank you for flying with us. Okay, well, it's the same for societies. Gone are the days when people would maybe be members of 2, 3, 4 societies and attend 2, 3, 4 meetings a year. As we move forward, what we're hearing is, oh, I can only attend 1 meeting a year. Maybe I can only be a member of 1 or 2 societies. So they do have choices, and we have to make ourselves relevant. And our members really want a full-service organization. They want that robust annual meeting with a lot of diverse programming. They want a website that looks fabulous and has lots of information and social media, advocacy efforts, networking, mentoring, you name it. They want it all. And that's a challenge. Most of us have the same budgets and the same staff as we move forward. So how do we do all this? Collaborations and partnerships are more critical than ever. And I came up through the science path, so through academia. So you always hear publish or perish, publish or perish. So in this case, it's innovate, adapt, or perish for our associations. So thanks for your time, and I'm passing it on to Joel.
Thank you.